Alright, day 2 changes, doing it live. I haven't seen any of the stuff I've done in this map, I've just compiled it so you can get my live reaction to what's happened. So let's have a look. First things first, we've got this neon sign is now lit up using the sprite. I can't even remember what it's called. Is it M sprite? Oh Jesus. But yeah, using world space glow so it doesn't get too big at a distance. Size is clamped at about 25 I think. This flickering one needs to be faster I think. It looks like it's kind of meant to flash on and off in sequence at the moment. Doesn't look very random. Needs some tweaking there I think. Fix the fire here so it works now and actually burns you when you stand in it. So that's good. Doesn't burn you when you're standing next to it, which is also excellent. Okay, I'm quite happy with that now then. Maybe the flame's a little bit too large. Maybe I can do something about that. Okay. I've added these wires onto the side of the silo here. I've given them a lot of slack because they flap around a lot when the wind picks up during the storms. Hopefully it'll look really cool when that happens. When a storm happens. I might have to trigger it manually. Let's see. Yeah. I moved this light slightly so you got some better shadows here. I might move it slightly more so you get a more zigzag pattern there. Yeah, let's trigger this storm because I'm interested. Oh, I've got to remember what the storm entity is called. That's it, relay. No. Storm, start, trigger. What? Oh. Got to set SV cheats to 1. There we go. Okay, so they do move around, but it's not nearly enough as I wanted. There's the lightning strike on the top of the tower. That needs a lot of work. So what happens there is a logic case controlling this lightning storm, and there's 7 or 8 different cases that get picked randomly. I think it's every 1 or 2 seconds. And on case 4 you get a bunch of lightning strikes and 1 lightning strike which hits the top of this here. Currently there is just a particle effect coming down from the sky to hit this, and then a bunch of M spark entities set on, you know, huge sparks, all the glows enabled and everything, that kind of spray off directionally in different directions. It looks kind of robotic at the moment though. All the sparks fall at the same time. They all bounce at the same angles once they get down here. So I'm going to have to add a bit of variance to when those spark entities are triggered so it doesn't look so robotic. And the actual lightning effect itself, the impact here, you don't even see it happen really, so we're going to have to add some effects there to really sell it. I'm thinking perhaps a big kind of glow here, and then the sparks coming off a couple of milliseconds apart, so there's some variation. And then we're going to want perhaps some screen shake on the players to kind of sell a really big impact. That could be interesting. And another thing that might be good actually is to actually get the survivor characters to comment on what's just happened. I'll have to have a look through the response rules, because I've never actually triggered anything like that before using these survivor characters to talk to each other about an event that's happened, so I'll have to check what's actually there. Maybe there's something for like, holy shit son, what was that? Get them to spout some lines about that. And another thing I want to do with this is something Sock mentioned in the comments of my last level design diary, is that perhaps have the lightning storm trigger like some sort of power cut around the map. I think that's a really interesting idea. One of the things I really like to do is have the lightning be more interactive with the level, and turning off all the lights could be, well, a really spooky effect, but cool as well. And then have them turn back on after a time. Something like all these spotlights here, all these street lamps, all these lights here could turn off, and the level would just get really, really dark. You just have like a couple of lights perhaps from this, and obviously all the little lamps up here would still be on. It could be a really interesting effect. The only thing I'm worried about is triggering all the lights, all the large lights like this in the map to turn off. It's going to add a lot of extra light map memory requirements, as if a light turns off you obviously have to have 2 light maps for every surface that the light hits. But I think it's worth a test just to see how it looks, because that could be very cool. I did tweak the red lights on this thing as well. I think that looks slightly better. It's a bit more subdued, looks like it's covered in fog a bit more than it did previously. I've added a couple of new lights around the map. Added one here. This corner was basically pitch black before, and I added the light here because I added the ladder. Now survivors are having trouble on it because I haven't updated the navigation mesh for this level yet. It's still using the one from the release version. But yeah, so that ladder's new. I added a tiny little light, omni light at the front of this car just to light it slightly. If you look in my previous level design video, you'll notice that when I was looking at this headlamp here, the car was pitch black. You just had these giant beams of light coming off. Didn't really look very good, so just added like, I think it's like brightness 10 or 12 omni light to the front of the car just to illuminate it slightly. And of course we've fixed the crash barrier. Yes, crash barrier is the name. So that looks much better now. Quite happy with it. Miscellaneous changes here. Increase the light map scale ever so slightly on the floor here, so you get some better shadows cast by this light. It was kind of a bit nondescript before, so I think that looks a bit better. Change this to like a plaster texture rather than brick. I think it looks 10 times better, although I want to add some more detail to this roof area, perhaps have some overhanging brick kind of trim on it or something. Don't think I've done much here. Just added some prop stuff on the floor to kind of add a little bit of extra detail. Added some guttering and things like that. Nothing too spectacular. Added an extra tree here and some more like fenced off areas and some bushes and things like that. Probably add another tree here like I was talking about in my last video. I think it looks quite nice. But yeah, this area is essentially the same still. Haven't done anything here yet. That'll come in a future update. I've added this structure here to the side of this this structure. It reminds me a bit of a TF2 style environment. But again, I wanted to continue the theme of like the survivors building little fortifications, things like that, to help them survive in this map. I know I was talking about rebuilding this thing entirely, but I'm thinking I might just keep it and just add a lot of kind of survivor-made structures to it. Like perhaps have a little, almost like a little watchtower or something at the top here. Perhaps have a little ladder you can climb up and up there or something. Add detail to it that way. Because as I mentioned in the previous video, there's a lot of triggering and scripting going on in this area for things like the scavenge mode and all things like that. So I don't want to change it too much from shape. I just want to make it look a lot better than it does currently. So that's the idea behind that. I believe yeah, I added some kind of brake lights in this tunnel because it was just pitch black before. Although perhaps they're a little bit too bright at the moment, and obviously need to add some light flares at the back here. It looks like I placed the lights too close to the model, so it's not lighting the model either, so that's something that needs to get tweaked, but generally I like the effect. I'd say about half brightness that it is now and it will look fine. Haven't added the side areas to here yet, obviously. Alright, so let's get working on day 3. Hello guys, this is day either 3 or 4. I have a terrible memory and I can't remember what I've recorded previous to this, as I haven't put together the episode of Level Design Diary yet, so bear with me if I've just contradicted myself. Now, I've just done a compile of today's changes, so we can have a first impressions look at the stuff I've done today. So I can't remember if I talked about this in the last video or not, but you can see these meshes on the top don't light quite correctly, so that still needs some tweaking because it looks a bit broken right now. I did add a whole bunch of detail in here with a wall lamp on the wall and with a small light map scale to get some shadows across the floor here, but it looked really bad, so I killed that. Still got a couple of props left in here from that though, because it does need some detail. Now of course this is new. Again, I wanted to continue the kind of wooden shack constructions that the survivors have made, and I wanted like a little watchtower that they'd make here to kind of, perhaps someone keeps an eye out here while the rest of them are sleeping or something. But what I might do actually is put a bunch of sleeping bags and stuff down here, so this can be like where the survivors sleep, and then one guy's up here kind of, you know, keeping watch while the rest of them sleep. Could be a nice bit of storytelling going on in the map. But, it looks a bit small at the top there, so let's have a look. Wow, yeah, I can't even get in. Okay, so that's quite embarrassing, but okay, so this top area needs to be like twice the size it is now. Width and length, I'd say. The height might be okay. Well, actually no. It needs to be about twice as high as well, I would guess. I like the lamp in here though. Now this will need some testing because it could be quite powerful for a survivor to be up here. Again, spitters will be really nasty and smokers as well, so it might actually be okay, but we'll have to do a lot of testing there. Right, so that's something I can add to my fix list. Wow. Let's see, what else did I add? Yeah, we talked about that last time, I'm sure we did. This area here is new. Right. So I believe I mentioned that I wanted to do something with this wall here because it was really flat and boring. So I've added like a little tool shed in here with some things. Again, we've got a little bit of storytelling, so there's a dead zombie here and there's some shell casings on the floor. I really want to just give the idea that this map is somewhere that the survivors have been hiding out in for a while. So there's like signs of combat and, you know, barricades and stuff put up everywhere. So it's a fairly well prepared position. Again, got some smaller light map scale here to get some interesting shadows coming from inside. That lens flare might be a bit strong, however, might need to be a little bit smaller. Have to tweak that as we go. I like the fact that it lights up this area here as well. This area was really dark before. I mean, I added this spotlight up here to light up this area, but it gave me the chance to add an omni light up there to light up this mesh as well a bit. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Perhaps a bit dark here. Oh, I don't know. I mean, you'd be running around with your flashlight on anyway, so it could be okay. Let's see. Okay, so you can get up here. I might put some clip brushes around these bits here just to make double sure that players won't get stuck in there. I'll have to show you some footage in the editor of all the clip brushes I've got around this map because it's fairly extensive to stop bugs and things like that, and players getting where they shouldn't. Could be interesting to have a look at. What else? Let's no clips, a lot quicker. I think I talked about the flashing on this looking a bit robotic, so it's sped up quite a lot now. Yeah, I think this looks okay. Yeah, I don't know, it might need to be a little bit stronger at a long distance. The fade out might be a little bit too soon. Again, that's something we can tweak later on. Not too fussed about it right now. I still think it's too dark here. These walls look a bit bad. That might be something we can have a look at. Now again, the back of this bus isn't getting lit up. I wonder if it's actually a lighting origin problem, because it doesn't seem to be receiving much light from anywhere. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the actual light entities will have to be moved out even further away from the bus. Maybe they're getting stuck inside it again somehow. So that's something we can tweak. Something to be most obvious here, you see this building in back here, it's not actually in the skybox, it's in the map, but because of the FARZ clip plane on the fog, you'll notice that it kind of pops in and out like this as you hit the FARZ clip plane, and it starts cutting parts of it out. It looks really ugly. Now I've improved it a bit by making some brush cuts on here. There's a brush cut here, and this part is made detail, and this part is structural. That seemed to help a lot, but there's not much I can, not much else I can do about it right now. So I'm wondering if I can perhaps make the whole thing a funk brush or something, and have it fade out after a distance naturally, rather than having it pop in and out. I'd really like to solve that, because it really bugs me. It looks awful. What else did we do? Oh, I added a trailer on here. Again, this is cool because this is kind of a major area where zombies would jump off the bridge here in the release version of the map. So I think it would look really cool if they climb up on here first and then jump down from on top of the trailer. Give it a more cinematic effect. I remember what another thing I wanted to look at. I believe I showed you the lightning strike hitting the top of here before, and it looked really, really bad. I've made some changes, so let's just trigger that to fire off. Let's see. Oh, got to remember the name now. Relay. Storm. There. Start. Trigger. I just have to wait for the lightning strike to happen. Again, it is somewhat random, so it might not happen at all, and it might happen first time. Okay, so that's better. What I've done here is I've set up a trigger relay to handle everything here, so I'm not messing around in all the other skybox entities and whatnot. So what I've added is a delay between all the different spark entities firing, although from looking at that it's definitely not enough. It still looks very, very robotic. They all seem to happen at the same time still. So that needs some more variance. I've added a sprite up here, a really large glow sprite, to kind of show the impact effects. I've added a slight screen shake. It's nothing too insane, because large screen shakes can be quite annoying for players, but it's just something to add to the effect. And I've added a couple of sound effects. One of them is kind of almost like an explosion kind of sound, and the second one is kind of electrical zapping sound. So if we can do it again, now that I've explained it all, you can have a closer look at it. And of course there's still the lightning effect. That still needs some work though, it looks really kind of anemic right now. Let's see what it looks like from down here where the players will be. Another thing I'm wondering about is that it could happen far too often. Again, this should be like a big event in the map, like lightning striking this thing. But I haven't triggered up all the lights turning off yet. Okay, so yeah, it looks okay. Again, we still need to work on it a bit. I think the sound effect of the explosion needs to be a lot louder. And again, as you can see, you can barely see the lightning effect coming down. I might have to use an ENV beam or something to augment it a bit. Give it a lot of variance in the beam so it like comes crackling down like this and then stays for a second or two. Perhaps have multiple beams that kind of arc all over the place. You could even go insane and have like other beam effects that kind of travel down the structure here. Lightning effects that could look really cool. It'll take a while to trigger up, but it could be worth it. Aside from that, I don't really think there's many other changes here. Oh, I remember what I did. I added all this balcony props here. If you remember, in the original map, this kind of this balcony here had no sides, nothing holding up. It was just kind of sticking out the wall. It looked a bit bizarre, so I've added. You see, you've got these little support things at the bottom here. I'm not quite sure about the looks of this yet. Could be a bit strange, but I needed something to prop up these pillars here because they weren't long enough to hit the floor. I don't know, I think they look okay. But yeah, this balcony stuff here was needed, I think, because it just looked bizarre. Again, we'll have to redo all the navigation mesh and stuff up here as well, because zombies will have to be able to climb over this and perhaps even climb up the sides of these. That could be interesting. Add some zombie ladders up there. Yes. I think I mentioned this in the previous video. I was going to add trims here. I've done that now. I think it looks a lot better. I was experimenting with adding, you see this kind of crisscross pattern model we've got here. I was planning on adding that to the underside of this as well, but none of it quite fits properly in these spaces. This is the kind of problem you have when you try and add details to areas you've already built, is that you can't kind of incorporate them at an early stage to make sure they all fit properly. So that's a bit of a problem. I'm thinking about adding some lights to these signs here so that you can read them. Again, it just adds a little bit more light to the map as well. I think it really is quite dark right now. Don't think I've added any more details to these buildings here. Added some stuff there. I don't even know if you can see it from the play area. Yeah, you can. So again, this looked really boxy, so just wanted to add a couple of things to break up the silhouette up there. Oh, don't know if you've seen this. Oops, triggering the storm again. Wonder what it looks like from over here if it triggers. Yeah, not bad. Maybe it needs some sparks coming out this way and over here as well. Because again, I really want you to see that from like the entire map almost. Yeah, the effect really isn't strong enough at the moment. But yeah, I added all the detail in here. I added these oh my god, what's wrong with me today? Hedges. Added these hedges here because I don't want the players to see all the way back there, because it would mean adding a load of detail which is unnecessary. So yeah, we noticed that, that's no clip, it'd be easier to see. You notice the detail sprites here are kind of broken. They kind of clip into the floor. Some things are floating in mid-air like this. This is because the default detail sprite setting for the map, if you look in the world spawn, I think it's in the world spawn, I hope it is, I was going to sound very silly right now, is actually an incorrect detail sprite. If you look on the Valve developer network, or you can open just the Valve maps and have a look what they use, but I think there's a list of valid detail sprite settings on the Valve developer wiki. I'll have to double check and perhaps add a link in the description. But there's lots of different types of plants you can choose from. But yeah, the default one is a bit broken, as you can see. Yeah, so that's something we have to fix as well. That's easy, that is. It's just changing a parameter in the world spawn. Alright, I think that's pretty much everything. Yep, so that was day 3 or 4, I can't remember. Things are progressing quite well. Again, we need more tweaking is required here, so we'll have to iterate on that some more. But I think it's really helpful to kind of do a early pass like you saw in my previous video. Like, I want lightning to strike here with an effect that players will notice, and that was the most bare bones version of it, right? And now we've got a little bit more in depth, got some more triggering to kind of sell the effect more. But you can just kind of keep on iterating it over and over again until it looks great. We're not there yet, but that's the whole point of testing things like this, to make sure you're on the right track. Alright, I'll see you next time, guys.